We're on to the playoffs, wildcard weekend, and I have my favorite 3 early bets for you guys to lock in for this weekend's upcoming NFL games. Again, we're looking at wildcard weekend. Before we can get into those picks, I do need to do a recap from week 18, which was awesome. I gave out 3 picks early in the betting week, and guess what? We went 3-0 on all of our picks. We swept the slate with our picks. We cashed the Bucks minus 4.5. I didn't project them winning and covering without scoring a touchdown, but we will take the W. I cashed the Bills minus 2.5. Kind of got lucky with the punt return. Kind of got unlucky with Josh Allen turning the ball over a ton. Still a W. And then I cashed the Giants plus 5.5. In reality, I should have taken the money line. So overall, it was an awesome week last week. Let's hope we can continue it into this week with our 3 plays. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And let's get into it. The first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here is in the Browns versus Texans game. And I'm taking the Browns money line straight up minus 135 odds at DraftKings. Before we get into the matchup itself, this is an awesome price that we're getting on DraftKings when you compare it to every other book, including the sharp ones. And obviously they're given the most weight. Pinnacle prices this at minus 150. Bet Online at minus 147. Bookmaker minus 155. Circa minus 148. Those are all very sharp offshore sports books, and they all price the Browns as heavier favorites than what we are getting it at minus 135. I know that the Texans are the darlings of the NFL because of how incredible Stroud was last week and pretty much how incredible Stroud was the entire year, but the Browns are the play in this game. As good as Stroud was against the Colts in other matchups like the Bucks, the Browns defense is an entirely different animal than any other team that the Texans have played really this year. The Browns ended the season with the second best defense in the NFL. The only team in front of them was the Ravens, a team that did beat the Texans pretty comfortably. The Browns have the second best defense against the pass and the 4th best defense against the run. This is all according to DVOA. So very, very good defense. We all knew that. For context, the Colts, who CJ Stroud just shredded, they're ranked 20th in terms of defensive DVOA. The Browns are allowing the second fewest passing yards per game, and they're tied for 3rd with the most interceptions. So I do not foresee this being a game in which Stroud is able to have a lot of success. And if Stroud's not moving the ball, the Texans don't really have the type of run game that can sustain them. And then looking at the other side of the ball, offensively, the DVOA for the Browns is not good, but things have taken a turn since they had Joe Flacco as their starting quarterback. Now, their first game that Flacco played, the Browns lost to the Rams. After that, the Browns rattled off 4 straight wins, including a game in which they beat the Texans by 14, a game in which Flacco threw for 368 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, I do need to point out that CJ Stroud did not play in that game. Obviously, that matters a ton. It doesn't matter a ton for the Texans defense and the Browns offense. So I think that the Browns are going to be able to take care of business, cashing this play for us. Next up, in the Dolphins versus Chiefs game, I'm also taking the favorite straight up, Chiefs money line, minus 164 odds at FanDuel. I promise I'm not just going to take every single favorite to win straight up, but the value on these 2 teams was so good that I just couldn't pass it up. Even at minus 164 odds, yes, those odds are steep. All you can do is compare the odds that you're taking compared to the rest of the market. And it's another situation where we're getting a really good price. The closest book is DraftKings at minus 175. Every other book has this in the minus 180s. That includes the same sharp sports books. Pinnacle, minus 183. Circa, minus 185. Bet Online, minus 182. So the minus 164 is still a positive expected value play. Now, looking at the matchup here, we all know the stats for the Dolphins against teams with winning records. The only game in which they won was the Cowboys, in which they won by 2. Most other games, they got dominated, including the Eagles, who are in free fall. They lost 2 by 14. They lost both games against the Bills. They got blown out by the Ravens, and they played these Chiefs in London and lost 21 to 14. But not only that, this game itself is just not going to be conducive for success for the Dolphins against Kansas City. The weather is going to be freezing, legitimately freezing. The high for this game is 15, and the lowest it's going to get during the game is 0 degrees. That's brutal, and that is not how the Dolphins want to win games with Tua at quarterback. It's going to hurt Tua and the Dolphins a lot more than it's going to hurt the Chiefs. Now, I will admit, a lot of these next stats I'm going to give to you are mostly meaningless, but the Dolphins have lost 10 straight games in which it's been under 40 degrees at kickoff. Now, that dates back to 2017. What happened in 2017 does not apply now. What does apply now is how difficult it is going to be for Tua to throw the ball on the Chiefs defense and against an already good Chiefs defense. As I mentioned, these two teams played in London. The Dolphins only managed to score 14 points in good weather. Even last week, a game in which the Bills turned the ball over a ton, because that's what Josh Allen loves to do. The Dolphins can only muster up 14 points in good weather. Again, even at the price, the Chiefs are the play here. I think they're going to win straight up. Hopefully they do, cashing our second play. Last up, our third and final pick for the slate in the Bucks versus Eagles game. Taking the Bucks +3, -121 odds at BetRivers. Now this one we are paying a little bit of juice, getting it at -121, but we're also getting a better price at the +3. Most books have this at +2.5. We're taking this at +3, and obviously that half point is massive when it comes to key numbers in the NFL. Also, the Eagles are terrible. I don't even understand why they are favored here. If I could find any value on the Bucks money line, I would have taken it, but the best value here was on the +3. It's like nobody has even watched the Eagles in the past 6 weeks. As I mentioned at the beginning, I faded them last week against the Giants. I took the spread. I should have taken the money line. The Eagles won 11 games, but they have the second lowest point differential of all playoff teams at +5. In terms of DVOA, they're all the way down at 14th. In DVOA, their offense is ranked 10th, which sounds good in theory, but Jalen Hurts is banged up. Both starting receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, are banged up. All three are probably going to play. They might not be 100%. And their defense is really what the issue is. They're 29th in terms of defensive DVOA. And they've been historically bad for about 7 weeks now. Now, yeah, getting torched by the Bills and 49ers and Cowboys, that's one thing. Getting torched by the Cardinals and the Giants, that's another thing. The Cardinals went the entire game without punting one time. They did whatever they wanted against the Eagles defense. Same with the Giants last week. Yeah, they might have punted a couple times, but the reality is they could do whatever they wanted against the Eagles defense, and that's a Giants offense that is the third worst offense in the NFL according to DVOA. I know the Bucks offense hasn't looked great the past 2 weeks, but worse offenses than the Bucks torch the Eagles, as I just illustrated for you. I think the Bucks are going to have a good game. If you just watch the film, and analysts that are a lot smarter than me are watching the film and saying that it's the worst defensive film that they've ever seen. The players pre-snap have no idea what they're doing. The Eagles' two best pass rushers, the Eagles are having them drop into coverage as opposed to, rushing the passer. That's where things are at. I think the Bucks are the play here. I think they're going to win straight up, but the value here was on the +3, so that's what we're going with. And that's all we got. 3 wildcard weekend plays for you guys to lock in. We went 3-0 last week. Let's hope we can go 3-0 again this week. Appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.